3 kilometers from the front line, 4 villages have been almost completely evacuated and destroyed. This refers to the Mehajova community in the Dnipropetrovsk region on the border with Donetsk region. It has been loud here since the very beginning of the full-scale invasion. Now, explosions are heard continuously, which is why a mandatory evacuation of families with children was recently announced from 5 settlements and from Mehajova itself. At the same time, the number of local residents is only increasing. Why is that? TSN journalists Anastasia and Neverna will tell and show us.
Mehajova greets us with the sound of a siren, signaling yet another air raid alert. And the siren here hardly ever stops. The front line is just a few kilometers away. The sound of shelling is constant. And recently, another problem has emerged. FPV drones have started breaking through to the center of the community. Dozens of them fly over the houses every day. Just the other day, one of the drones destroyed a kindergarten. After the strike, only the walls remained of the recently renovated facility. Everything burned. Children's beds, books, toys.
There were no children present at the time of the strike. Classes are being held online, so we had no casualties or injuries. Cultural institutions, educational facilities have been destroyed. Objects in the social and cultural sphere are being targeted and destroyed. We've managed to restore some of them, but it's becoming more and more difficult. In some cases, it's simply dangerous to do so.
Locals have learned to move quickly through the streets, to listen carefully, and more recently, to watch the sky intently. I have a ringing in my ears.
My cheek twitches, it twitches. My cheek twitches, it's just nerves now. You can hear it both day and night. Novopavlivka is nearby, so of course we can hear everything here. We understand that we're next in line. We know that we're next.
It is precisely from neighboring Novopavlivka, which the enemy has been wiping out with daily cab strikes since last year, that a significant number of displaced people have come to Mehajova. There are about 10 kilometers between the villages, but even that distance is seen by people as relative safety.
No one really wants to go far from home.
Anastasia is one of those who stayed in Novopavlivka until the enemy destroyed her house. I don't know how many people are left there.
I don't know how many people are left there. On my street where I live, 3 homeowners have already been killed. There's no one left further down. There are only empty houses standing there.
Now, at 74 years old, she has become a displaced person. She came to process her documents, and her biggest fear is that she'll have to move even further away again. She just started to settle in here.
That's exactly what we're afraid of, because when we first arrived, everything was fine, but now they're shooting again, everything's exploding. I'm scared again, I'm shaking.
At the Administrative Services Center, they say that despite the proximity to the front line, there are already more than 6,000 displaced people in the community. Azarov also started.
Now FPV drones have also started reaching us, but people are still moving here, and even today we had citizens from the Novopavlivka community.
Margarita has been living in Mehajova since the summer of 2022. The whole family fled from Vuledar, and now they're once again living out of suitcases. Together with her husband and paralyzed father, they're planning to move deeper into the Dnipropetrovsk region.
What are we supposed to wait for?
What should we expect? Wait until the house is destroyed and my father has to be pulled out, for example, from a burning building. It's terrifying because they're dropping things here.
But Vera still believes that everything will be alright. Her yard can be seen from afar. It's overflowing with flowers. That is, 24 hours a day, I'm busy with the flowers.
You see, I'm always tending to the flowers. Right now, I need to braid these daffodils. Look, the roses are starting to bloom.
The woman planted a vegetable garden and grows several varieties of roses. She says she's gotten used to the constant explosions.
Something is buzzing, I can't even tell what it is anymore. Maybe it's a door opening somewhere, or maybe it's just buzzing. Well, if it's flying, let it fly. What can you do? I'm not planning to go anywhere.
Mandatory evacuation of families with children has already been carried out in 4 settlements of the Mehajivska community. Just recently, evacuation was also announced in 5 more places, including the village of Mehajova itself, because every day it's getting louder and more dangerous here.
It was also a hellish week for the Ukrainian city of Sumy and the Sumy region as a whole. For example, on the morning of June 3, the Russians treacherously struck Sumy with a multiple rocket launcher system, hitting the city center and deliberately targeting civilian infrastructure. 4 people were killed and more than 20 were wounded. At the same time, 2 men died on the spot. All the details of this horror will be shown by TSN journalist Oksana Solodovnik.
5 strikes hit different neighborhoods of Sumy. For the second day in a row, the Russians have been attacking the city with long-range rocket artillery, using cluster munitions to hit streets, businesses, hospitals and homes. The explosions lasted for several seconds. One shell hit a street where at the moment of impact there were a lot of people and many cars had just stopped at a red light at the intersection. After the explosion, 2 cars caught fire and burned to the ground. A man died at the site of the strike. We were very scared. We were standing near the store.
We were really frightened. We stood near the store. A second, then the explosion. We dropped to the ground, then another explosion. A piece of shrapnel fell on me, and sand rained down. I didn't count how many explosions there were, because people who had been injured in the area, people who were just passing by, started running in. There was a mother with a small child. Her arm was wounded. Blood was literally gushing from the child. They pressed some kind of napkin here, trying to stop it. It was really terrifying. There were so many people.
Another shell killed a man in his own garden. As a result, a woman died in the hospital from multiple injuries. Then another man. His 7-year-old daughter was seriously wounded and is currently in the hospital. In total, 25 civilians sustained shrapnel wounds. Among the injured are 4 children aged 3 to 17, 3 of whom are in intensive care. Doctors are also fighting for the lives of 3 adults. About 15 civilian buildings were damaged, an apartment building, private houses and a hospital.
Preliminarily, 7 locations have been identified where various types of destruction occurred. A command center has been set up. 15 houses have been damaged, including the hospital. The 4th hospital has sustained damage. Electricity and gas are both available. We are currently restoring power to the roads. I think we are already cleaning everything up. We will restore traffic on Shevchenko Avenue today.
In total, 5 strikes were recorded in 3 districts of the city. Another munition presumably exploded in the air. Its fragments pierced the ceiling of an apartment on the 9th floor and got stuck in the sofa of one of the apartments. The homeowner survived only because he had gone to the store half an hour before the attack.
Right into the sofa, right where I was lying. Well, I just took the sofa out. Sorry. Here, I find them under the sofa. These are just the remains. They've already taken a lot of things.
For some time after the attack, people were not allowed into the building while the explosives experts were defusing the munition. The city is observing 2 days of mourning for those killed in the Russian terrorist attack.
The F-16 and Mirage fighter jets, which are in service with Ukraine, are being integrated into NATO's unified digital system. This will make it possible to exchange information between aircraft and air defense systems, as well as other elements of defense. And in addition, Kyiv has received the last of the promised fighter jets from the Netherlands. Belgium, in turn, promises to deliver its batch of these aircraft to Ukraine. Will Ukraine actually be able to secure its skies with the help of the F-16? Our colleague Ihor Bondarenko looked into this question.
The last F-16 fighter jet takes off from the Volkel airbase. As of today, the Royal Netherlands Air Force has fully transitioned to the modern F-35s. The decommissioned aircraft won't be left to rust, they will help Ukrainians strike the Russians.
We are saying goodbye to the F-16, and I couldn't think of a better destination for them than Ukraine. Because of the daily Russian airstrikes, the F-16s are absolutely vital for Ukraine and for us as well. They will make it possible to contain Russian aggression. The skies over Ukraine remain Ukrainian.
Last year, in August, the first American fighter jets went on combat duty in Ukraine. Manufactured in the late 80s, modernized in the 2000s, the transferred F-16s turned out to be older than the pilots flying them. Nevertheless, these American aircraft became the flagship among the outdated fleet of Soviet planes in the Ukrainian Air Force.
I am an F-16 fighter pilot. I retrained as part of the first group.
For almost a year, Ukrainian pilots have been gaining experience operating the combat aircraft in wartime conditions. At first, they learned to shoot down Russian cruise missiles and Shaheds with the F-16. In particular, in December 2024, a Ukrainian fighter jet, for the first time in the world, shot down 6 enemy cruise missiles in a single combat sortie. In February 2025, reports emerged about the use of Western cruise air bombs by the aircraft. Therefore, in addition to air defense functions, the F-16 also began to be used for striking ground targets. The absolute air dominance of the Russians has practically come to an end.
In some areas, we are already coming very close to each other. This never happened before. From their actions, we can see that they are starting to pull back. They're afraid to come near us. There's also a living person sitting in there who doesn't want to die.
However, Ukrainian F-16s are still unable to shoot down Russian aircraft. The outdated fighters are not capable of competing with the modern Su-35. For this, new, more powerful radar equipment and long-range weaponry are needed. We were also given long-range missiles.
But the long-range missiles we received are also of older modifications. We did not gain the capability to fight Russian aircraft, but the Russians didn't know that, so they were forced to carefully plan every combat sortie, check the area for our planes, and thoroughly cover their strike aircraft with their own fighters. This reduced the number of cap strikes on our front lines.
Out of the F-16s transferred by Denmark and the Netherlands, Ukraine has lost at least 3 aircraft and 2 pilots have died. Given the conditions of a full-scale war with Russia, the level of losses is quite acceptable, according to experts. And the level of utilization of the transferred aircraft is at its maximum.
Ukraine is using the F-16s to their fullest, basically. That is, considering their age, their level of modernization, and their equipment, I think we are using them absolutely to their full potential.
For almost 2 years, Ukraine was breaking through the barrier against the transfer of foreign fighter jets. Foreign air defense systems, tanks, and long-range missiles went through a similar process. The lost time did not allow the Ukrainian Air Force to strike deep into Russian territory at the beginning of the full-scale invasion. Now, however, drones dominate the skies. Small drones can effectively destroy large military aircraft. This has been proven by the Security Service of Ukraine.